The punishment of the turtle. A great and wonderful tree, laden with luscious fruit, stood in a clearing in the African jungle. In its shadow all the animals from far and near had assembled. As they beheld the beautiful and tempting fruit, the very sight of it made their mouths water. To eat of it must be a real treat, they thought. Let us send a messenger to the king and ask his permission, said the giraffe, who had secretly tasted the fruit. The suggestion of the giraffe was received with applause, and after a lengthy deliberation as to who should go, the rabbit was commissioned to bring their petition before the king. The rabbit, on arriving at the king's court, was most graciously received. The king, on hearing the petition, said to the rabbit,
"Go back and tell my subjects that they are free to eat of the fruit, but the choicest and sweetest they must not touch, for that belongs to me."
The rabbit, after hearing this gladsome message, hurried off, all the while repeating to himself the words of the king.
"Tell my subjects that they may eat of the fruit, only not of the choicest and best, for that belongs to me."
As he hurried on, heedless of obstacles in the way, he ran against a stone, turned a somersault in the air, and landed on his back. It all came so unexpectedly and so suddenly that he forgot to repeat the king's message, and when he got on his feet again, it had entirely slipped his mind. On hearing what had happened, the animals immediately dispatched another messenger, this time the mountain goat. When the goat arrived at the king's court and delivered his message, he was given the same answer as the rabbit before him.
"Go and tell my subjects that they are free to eat of the fruit, only not of the choicest and best, for that belongs to me."
Fleet-footed as he was, the goat hurried off, all the while repeating to himself, "Go and tell my subjects that they are free to eat of the fruit, only not of the choicest and best, for that belongs to me." As he sped along, heedless of obstacles in the way, he suddenly ran with the full weight of his body against a boulder and tumbled head over heels into a ditch. When at last he came to himself and got on his feet again, the king's message had entirely slipped his mind. Again the animals sent a messenger to the king, this time the wise and circumspect turtle. Slow but sure, the turtle wended his way toward the king's court. When at last he stood before the king and made known his request, he too received exactly the same answer as the goat and the rabbit before him. Ceremoniously the turtle bowed himself out of the king's presence and started for home. Slowly as he had come, he made his way back, all the while repeating to himself,
"Go and tell my subjects that they are free to eat of the fruit, only not of the choicest and best, for that belongs to me."
So wrapped up was he in the message that he failed to notice a log in the way. He walked straight into it and, from the force of the shock, fell flat on his back. But he had presence of mind enough to continue repeating the king's words. After many futile efforts, he succeeded in righting himself. Unable to climb over the log, he walked around it and passed on. In due time he arrived at the tree where the animals were impatiently waiting for his return. When at last they saw the turtle coming along, they knew at once, by the triumphant look on his face, that he was the bearer of good news. And so it proved to be.
"We may eat of the fruit,"
cried the turtle,
"only not of the choicest and best, for that belongs to the king."
At these words a storm of applause filled the air. "Up! Let us climb the tree!" they all cried. "Come on, turtle, you too. You must not fail to get your share after bringing such good news. Tuck yourself up and get busy."
"How can I climb the tree?"
said the turtle.
"I am too small. I cannot even think of such an attempt, handicapped as I am."
And he sat down and looked on while the others climbed the tree and helped themselves to the fruit. They all had a jolly good time and ate until their hearts were content. During all this time the turtle sat in the grass below, harboring evil thoughts. He was brooding over plans that would enable him to get some of the king's fruit without being caught. At sunset the animals came down. They were all very tired, so they stretched themselves out in the grass and soon were fast asleep. At last the turtle's opportunity had come. He was aching to get some of the king's fruit. Stealthily he approached the tree, climbed it without difficulty, and helped himself to the fruit. When he was well satisfied, he slipped cautiously to the ground. Some of the fruit he had taken he placed beside the sleeping elephant. In this way he hoped to deceive the others and cover up his guilt. At daybreak the animals awoke, rubbed their eyes, and stretched their limbs. Then they went to the river to bathe. On coming back, they chanced to look at the tree and noticed to their horror that the king's fruit had disappeared during the night. "Oh, what shall we do?" they exclaimed. "This will surely bring the wrath of the king upon us. Who could have done this?" Seeing the turtle nearby, they cried with one accord, "Turtle, you are the sinner."
I?
Said the turtle.
The insinuation. I cannot even climb a tree, as you all know, and if you have eyes to see, look at the elephant and the fruit by his side. It also explains why he preferred to stay here when the rest of you went to the river.
Thus the turtle lied. Believing the elephant guilty, the animals became enraged. Without further thought, they rushed upon the elephant and killed him. Thus the innocent and good-natured fellow paid with his life for the turtle's crime. His body they cut up and divided the meat among them. The turtle, in recognition of his services, was given one of the haunches. Then they formed a procession and started for home. On the way, the turtle, puffed up with pride and mocking, began to sing,
Meat have I more than I can eat. By cunning I have beaten all. The giant I have caused to fall, and to the monster brought defeat.
"Say, Turtle, what kind of song is this?" the animals asked.
I am only singing about myself,
Answered the turtle, and began again.
Woe is me, my back is bent, because my burden is too great. The haunch which you upon me lay will surely hasten on my end.
"Poor turtle," the animals cried, "you will surely break down under your load. We will relieve you of your burden." So they took off the haunch and gave him a shoulder instead. They had not gone very far when the turtle sang again.
Meat have I more than I can eat. By cunning I have beaten all.
"Listen, the turtle is singing again," said the leopard. "Say, Turtle, what are you singing this time?" the animals asked.
What am I singing? I have but one song.
The turtle replied and sang,
Woe is me, my back is bent, because my burden is too great. The shoulder you upon me lay will surely hasten on my end, unless you quickly lend me aid.
"Let him carry the liver," one of the animals cried. So they took off the shoulder and gave him the liver. They had hardly started again when, for the third time, they heard the song of the turtle. This time they understood. "Stop!" they all cried. "Now we have you. You are the culprit, not the elephant whom you made us kill. Poor elephant! What a pity that the honest fellow became the victim of the crafty turtle. But do not deceive yourself, Turtle. Just punishment will be meted out to you in due time." Not long afterward, a great feast was proclaimed. They were to go together in a body. They had almost reached their destination when they came to a high bridge, a giant cotton tree which lay across a stream. Beyond the stream rose a hill on whose summit they were to offer sacrifices and celebrate their feast. The long journey had wearied them, so they rested. When they finally reached the hilltop, a fattened bullock was killed, and preparations were made for the feast. A chilly breeze swept over the hilltop. This annoyed some of the animals, and by majority vote they decided to hold the feast in the valley below. The meat of the bullock they apportioned and carried down on their heads and shoulders. The intestines, together with the stomach, considered delicacies, they wrapped separately in the hide of the bullock. The turtle was to remain at the top of the hill, where he would be subject to torture by evil spirits and demons. This was to be the punishment for all his wickedness and deceit. But once more the turtle outwitted them. Knowing their plans, he managed, unnoticed, to crawl into the empty stomach of the bullock before the bundle was tied and carried down. In the valley below, the animals laid down their loads and prepared for the feast. A great surprise awaited them. When they opened the load containing the stomach of the bullock, the turtle crawled out. Thereupon the animals expelled the turtle from their society and made him live in a desert place all by himself. Barren rocks and sandy wastes became his abode, and he is in constant danger of being trampled or crushed under the hooves of the buffaloes. Basuto,